When it comes to money, many of us face the same questions: how to manage it better, how to get out of debt, and how to secure a prosperous future. But what most people don't realize is that the answers to these questions have been available for centuries. In the Bible, that's right. The financial principles that can transform your life are not just modern advice or magic formulas. They are eternal truths that God left to guide us. If you're tired of struggling with financial pressure or looking for a more meaningful way to manage your resources, this video is for you. We're going to explore 9 proven biblical lessons that will not only change your perspective on money, but also bring peace and purpose to your financial journey. These teachings challenge the common mindset. Some may even sound controversial, but that's what makes biblical truth so powerful. Watch now and let your life be transformed. The power of a minimalist lifestyle. The concept of minimalism might seem counterintuitive in a society that values accumulation, but there is profound wisdom in living with less. The Bible invites us to reflect on what is truly essential, as seen in Matthew 6:19-21, which reminds us not to store up treasures on earth. Simplifying is not just a material exercise. It is a spiritual practice that aligns our priorities with eternal values. When you embrace minimalism, you realize that it's not about what you own, but about who you are and whom you serve. Imagine having fewer debts because you chose not to buy things you don't need. This simple decision can create financial and mental freedom, allowing you to use your resources for what truly matters, like supporting your family or investing in future dreams. Embracing minimalism can start with small steps, such as decluttering your home or reviewing unnecessary expenses from the past month. This habit not only saves money but also reduces stress. Living simply also gives you the time and energy to focus on bigger issues, like your purpose and faith. Often we are distracted by things that compete for our attention. When we eliminate the unnecessary, we make room to better hear God's voice and seek His direction in our lives. Just as Jesus lived simply, we are called to learn that true wealth lies in what cannot be bought. And here's the interesting part. Financial simplicity also sets the stage for other biblical financial principles, such as avoiding debt. After all, when we live with less, we tend to spend less, leading to a more balanced life. But how does this connect to the next step in our financial journey? Let's find out. Breaking free. Why the Bible teaches us to avoid debt. Debt is like a silent prison that steals peace and freedom. The Bible clearly warns us against it in Proverbs 22:7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. This metaphor is not just a spiritual lesson, but a practical truth. Debt chains us, limiting our ability to make free decisions and fully obey God's calling. Avoiding debt is more than a financial principle. It is a matter of spiritual freedom. Imagine what life would be like without worrying about monthly payments and interest that seems never-ending. A good first step to breaking these chains is creating a realistic budget and identifying unnecessary expenses to cut. Additionally, prioritize paying off debts, starting with the smallest, the well-known debt snowball method. This approach, besides being practical, is motivational because it allows you to see progress quickly. Avoiding debt also requires changing our mindset about consumption. Many believe they need credit cards or loans to live comfortably, but true prosperity lies in managing what we already have wisely. Jesus teaches us in Luke 14:28 to calculate the cost before starting any project, a direct piece of advice on the importance of financial planning. The less we rely on debt, the closer we get to achieving a life of abundance. And as we begin to break free from the cycles of debt, we open doors to work more intentionally with the money we earn. After all, if the focus isn't on paying debts, it can shift to building a solid future. And how can we align our work with our financial values? That's what we'll explore next. Earn it, the biblical principle of working for your income. From the very beginning, God called us to work. Genesis 2:15 clearly shows this, when God placed Adam in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. Work is not a burden, but a divine calling, an opportunity to contribute and create value. Earning money honestly through work demonstrates our obedience to this principle. When we understand that work is a blessing, we begin to see even the simplest tasks as part of God's purpose for our lives. Often, people look for shortcuts to wealth, but the Bible reminds us of the importance of working diligently. Proverbs 14:23 teaches, "All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty." This doesn't just mean working harder, but working with purpose and integrity. For example, improving your skills in your field or even starting a small business are ways to honor this principle. Additionally, work helps us develop character. We learn discipline, patience, and perseverance, qualities that shape us financially and spiritually. Consider Paul, who made tents to support himself while preaching the gospel, Acts 18:3. He worked not only to live, but also to show that work dignifies and gives us independence to fulfill our calling. While work is essential, it also paves the way to building wealth and supporting our families. However, there is a secret to turning effort into lasting prosperity, something the Bible describes as the fruit of hard work. Let's explore that in the next topic. Hard work pays off, the path to true riches. The Bible is clear in stating that hard work is rewarded. Proverbs 10:4 says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." This principle transcends time and teaches us that true wealth is built through consistent and dedicated effort. Hard work is not just about earning money, but also about growing as a person, strengthening your character, and leaving a legacy that reflects God's glory. However, hard work does not mean exhausting yourself without direction. It's about working with wisdom and strategy. For example, a farmer doesn't just scatter seeds randomly. He prepares the soil, chooses the right season, and carefully tends the crops. Similarly, you can apply this principle by planning your career, investing in education, or starting a business. Working smart is just as important as working hard. God values diligence, but also warns us against laziness. Proverbs 13:4 teaches, "A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied." To achieve true riches, we must be willing to step out of our comfort zones and dedicate ourselves to something greater than ourselves. Consider how you can invest your time and energy into endeavors that bring positive impact. And what should we do with the fruits of our labor? This is where we start to see the importance of managing resources wisely. Diversification is the next critical step in the financial journey, and the Bible has something surprising to say about it. Invest wisely, the biblical case for diversifying your wealth. The Bible offers surprisingly practical advice when it comes to investments. Diversify. Ecclesiastes 11:2 tells us, "Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land." This principle, applied to today's financial world, teaches us not to put all our resources into one area. Diversification is not just a smart financial strategy, it's a way to be good stewards of what God has entrusted to us. For example, think of someone who puts all their money into a single stock or property. If something goes wrong, the impact can be devastating. Now, imagine investing in different areas, such as real estate, stocks, bonds, or even small businesses. This approach reduces risk and increases the chances of return. Additionally, diversification isn't just about finances, it's about where we place our trust and time, balancing our focus between family, work, and ministry. Investing wisely also requires patience and discernment. We are often tempted to chase quick gains, but Proverbs 13:11 reminds us, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." It's essential to educate yourself on where to invest and seek advice from experts, but never forget to pray for divine guidance before making any decisions. As we learn to manage our resources better, we realize it's not just about accumulating wealth. There's something even more important than where we invest: the condition of our hearts toward money. This leads us to the next crucial principle. Guard your heart. The dangers of loving money. The love of money is a dangerous trap that the Bible repeatedly warns us to avoid. In 1 Timothy 6:10 we read, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." Notice that the problem isn't money itself, but an excessive attachment to it. When we prioritize wealth above God, we stray from our purpose and compromise our inner peace. Guarding your heart means keeping money in its rightful place, as a tool, not a master. Think about how an obsession with money can cause harm. Relationships can be damaged, health neglected, and spiritual life suffocated. For instance, someone who sacrifices family time to chase financial success may end up losing what truly matters. The key is balance, understanding that God is our provider, not our own efforts. Recognizing this brings freedom and contentment. Jesus spoke directly about the danger of loving money in Matthew 6:24. "No one can serve 2 masters. You cannot serve both God and money." This statement challenges us to reflect on our priorities. A practical way to avoid being controlled by money is through generosity. When we give, we demonstrate that money doesn't rule us, but serves as a means to bless others and glorify God. As we learn to guard our hearts, we also begin to think about the lasting impact of our finances. After all, what are we leaving for future generations? That's what we'll explore in the next principle: a legacy of blessings, leaving an inheritance for future generations. Leaving an inheritance is an act of love and responsibility encouraged by the Bible. Proverbs 13:22 tells us, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." This reminds us that our finances are not just about us, but also about the generations to come. Planning a legacy isn't only about material wealth, but also about passing down values, faith, and principles that will shape the lives of our descendants. For example, instead of just accumulating assets, consider educating your children on the importance of managing resources wisely. Teaching them about budgeting, investing, and generosity can be more valuable than any amount of money. Additionally, creating a will or setting up a trust are practical steps to ensure that your wealth is used in ways that reflect God's purposes for your family. Leaving a legacy also means living in a way that inspires your children and grandchildren to follow a righteous path. Show them how to manage what they have in a way that blesses others and glorifies God. When your example reflects wisdom and generosity, you leave behind not just an inheritance but a model for living that transcends time. After all, the impact of a spiritual legacy is eternal. And as we build this legacy, we realize that we need more than just financial knowledge. We need divine guidance, something that can only be achieved by intentionally seeking wisdom. Let's explore this in the next principle. Seek wisdom, the key to financial success. The pursuit of wisdom is essential for achieving financial success, and the Bible encourages us to ask for it. James 1:5 promises, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." Wisdom is more than knowledge. It's the ability to apply divine principles in practical situations. Financially, this means making thoughtful decisions, avoiding costly mistakes, and seizing opportunities with discernment. For example, before making a significant investment or starting a business, ask yourself, does this align with the values God has taught me? Seeking advice from spiritual mentors or financial professionals who share your faith is also a wise step. A great biblical example is Joseph in Egypt, who, with God's wisdom, managed resources during years of plenty and prepared the nation for years of famine. Financial wisdom also includes learning to say no to the temptations of overspending. Proverbs 21:20 teaches, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." This verse emphasizes the importance of saving and investing with intention. It's not about hoarding out of fear, but about managing resources with gratitude and preparation for the future. When we seek wisdom, we are empowered to live in a way that honors God and impacts others. And this wisdom naturally leads us to a principle that often defies worldly logic: the transformative power of generosity. Let's uncover how this works in the next topic: the joy of giving, how generosity multiplies your blessings. Generosity is one of the most powerful principles in the Bible, both spiritually and financially. Acts 20:35 reminds us, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Giving is not merely an act of charity. It is a demonstration of trust in God as our provider. When we share our resources, we acknowledge that everything we have comes from Him and position ourselves to bless others and receive even more in return. Think about how a small act of generosity can change lives. Donating to a neighbor in need, supporting a missionary, or contributing to a community project are practical ways to live out this principle. Generosity isn't limited to money. You can also give your time, skills, and encouragement. By doing so, you not only witness blessings multiply in your life, but also inspire others to do the same. The Bible assures us that God honors generosity. In 2 Corinthians 9:6, Paul writes, "Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously." This promise motivates us to give liberally, knowing that God will supply all our needs. Generosity isn't a loss, but an eternal investment. As this journey through biblical financial principles reaches its peak, the joy of giving reminds us that everything we learn about money should culminate in a greater purpose: glorifying God. Now, the question is, how will you apply these truths to transform not only your finances, but your life as a whole? Now that you've learned these 9 powerful biblical lessons, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Remember, wisdom is valuable only when put into practice. Is it time to reevaluate how you spend, save, and give? Perhaps God is calling you to take the next step. Whether it's eliminating debt, being more generous, or simply trusting Him more to meet your needs. Write in the comments with faith. I am blessed and will live God's purpose. Think about the areas of your financial life that need transformation. Where can you apply these principles today? It might be something simple like creating a budget, or more ambitious, like starting to plan an inheritance for future generations. Don't let this learning remain just theory. Action is what transforms intentions into achievements. Here's an invitation. Why not share your journey with others? Tell us in the comments which of these lessons impacted you the most and how you plan to apply it. Your experience could inspire others to transform their finances through the light of the Bible. If this video helped you, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. There's so much more wisdom like this waiting for you, and together we can learn to live more wisely and abundantly for God's glory.